welcome to scr1tno Knitting Project podcast. My name is Sharon and I am coming to you from Surrey in the UK, where I live with my family, 3 cats and a dog. This is episode 58 and today is Friday the 29th of May 2020. Welcome if you're a new viewer, welcome back if you're a returning viewer. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is my podcast all about my knitting and any other crafts I happen to get up to this week. It is mainly knitting this week. I've got some crochet and a little bit of sewing. So let's head straight into admin. Admin. The podcast has a Ravelry group, and if you can find that by searching scr1tno under the groups tab, and I should pop up. We have 3 knit-alongs going along at the moment, or make-alongs, anything. If you can make it fit, you can enter it. The first one is the year-long knit-along, which is a square a day, which is the square a day cowl. And that is basically knitting a square on a cozy memory blanket a day, or crocheting a granny stripe, or quilting a little hexagon. Anything along those lines will do. So the next check-in is at the end of June, and so it's June the 30th, and we should have 182 squares by then. That's the minimum. Obviously you can have more, that's not a problem. Works in progress are allowed, so if you've already started one then and you are heading towards that sort of goal, then by all means enter it. We also have the May Mini Madness going on at the moment, which is basically scrappy projects, and I have finally opened the finished objects thread, as one kind person tagged me in Instagram and her finished object. I was like, I really will open that thread now, so I have actually done that now. So yeah, please do join us. That runs to the end of June too, so plenty of time to make some scrappy projects. We've also got the jumper cowl, which is basically knitting a garment between an adult size garment, please. And it's okay if you're knitting an adult size garment for a child, so that's fine, that's not an issue. But an adult size garment, please. And that's running until the end of the year, so that'll be by the 31st of December, so you've got loads of time to do that, and I may sort of randomly pop in there and award some pattern prizes throughout the year. We have got a couple of prizes that I will show you. I've got one coming already and I've got one here. So we've got some prizes building up, which is lovely, and if you do want to send a prize, I would be really grateful. Thank you so much. Just get in touch, either email me or message me on Ravelry. Both of those are probably the best way of doing it. My email is scr1tno@outlook.com. Anything else in admin? I think that's it. I always get to the end of admin and go, I've forgotten, other than to answer the questions. Now, I had one. Right, Jean, not on the podcast, but on the vlog, you asked what jumper I was wearing. I think it's this one. Is it this one that I was wearing? This is the EDT, so it's an EDIE, name ED, and then TEE by Isabel Kramer. Is the pattern, and then the yarn I've used is 2 yarns from Babel's Travelling Yarn, which is Grace, but I don't think she's dying at the moment. And it was Winter Mist was the top and Ivy was the bottom. So yeah, I think that's your question there. And yes, thank you for your comment about the fact I'm not going to cast on any more blankets. My friend Kelly tried to get me to cast one on during the week. I was like, no. Ginny's asking, are all your project bags full, or do you have an extra stash that you bring out? Thankfully not all my project bags are full, Jenny, otherwise I think I would be knitting for years. No, I've got a stash that I bring out. I try to keep them seasonal, so I have summer bags in summer and autumn bags in autumn, etc, etc. So I've got quite a few, and I've got quite a few very small bags which are great for socks, but not so great for like the larger projects. And my jumper size bags, I've literally got the one that my cozy memory blanket lives in, so that's permanent. My Thorn Dolly one that my understated was in, and my new one that I got from So Beautiful by Nicola last week. So I'm really lacking jumper sized bags. I've got lots of shawl size and sock size, but not so many big ones. So because I was knitting a garment, I was like, well, I'd quite like to have one at least to alternate them between the two, which I've done now. So that's cool. So that was why hence the bag. Ali, can you show how you use 2 circular needles on your socks? Yes, I can. I'll do that in socks in a minute. I think that's it. It's just Brendy checking in saying hi, and Tiffany, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you like my Christmas blanket. I'm really in love with it at the moment. It's the only thing I really want to knit on. Now this is Tiffany of the Woolen Homestead, and she's podcasting at the moment, which is super exciting for me because Tiffany was really the first podcast I watched, and she was certainly the first podcaster I interacted with. And she's been so supportive of the podcast when I first started podcasting. So it's lovely to see her podcast is back up and running. So do check out the Woolen Homestead. She's super lovely, and she happens to be a lab mum too. So we have Labradors in common. Right, I'm going to move on to day one. Day one is socks, and I have an FO. I think this isn't a surprise really because I was so close to getting these finished last week. So these are my Hopeless Romantic socks. And they're inspired by a colourway of the same name from the lovely Helen of Giddy Yarns. This is her self-striping Hopeless Romantic colourway. And the toe, heel and cuff is from a mini by Lay Family yarn, which I just thought went really prettily with it. And yes, there are two. Now the pattern is my own. It is nothing special. It is a yarn over. I said yarn forward last week. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. It is a yarn over, knit two together. And what I did was I did the yarn over and knit two together the minute the colours changed. So it didn't matter where I was on the stripe. As soon as I hit the colour change, I did that. Obviously not on the foot. I did it when I was on, so as soon as I got onto this bit on here. But around the leg, as soon as I hit the colour change, I started doing a yarn over. The minute, sort of the first, like where it split from one colour to the other, I'd do the yarn over. So that's how that was worked, and it's super simple, but I think very effective. I really do like it, and I want to make some shorties in this for the summer because I think that would be really nice. I think I have enough left over to do that. I'll need a different mini, but so yes, so it's on 60 stitches. 2.5mm needles, my standard sock needles, and I did a slip stitch heel with gusset and a little wedge toe, although it looks round on the blockers, but that's just the shape of my blockers. My blockers are from scr1tno Designs, which are on Instagram. No, not Instagram. Etsy, that's the one. And yeah, they're sweet little blockers. So yeah, really pleased with those. So that's my FO, my only one this week, and I have, of course, got a new cast on. Now that's living in my lovely Duckpool Lane bag, which you would have seen a lot of last summer, because I love this bag. I think it's really summery. And in here I have a new cast on, and I can't tell you an awful lot about it. It is a new cast on. It's absolutely lovely, and it is a new pattern that is being test knit by me, obviously, for Laura of the Lonely Knitter podcast and Crafters Balm, and this is a pattern that hopefully will be out very soon. It's yet to be named, but once it's named I will let you know what it's called. And it's really clever because it's a chain design. Can you see that? If I hold it up close, can you see how clever that chain is? I love this. It is actually quite simple. I mean, that said, I had to tinker row, but it's lovely. The pattern's lovely. The pattern's ready to go. I've tested enough of it that it's, you know, not an issue at all. It's brilliant. It's a fantastic pattern, as you would expect from Laura. She is a great designer, but I love this, and I'm really enjoying doing it. It's lovely. Now the yarn is by the lovely Sherry Iris, and it is from her Country Diary collection, and it's called Study of a Bluebell. And yeah, I mean, Bluebells, it's gorgeous, isn't it? That's it. I love these designs that are patterned on the front and plain on the back for two reasons. One, you've only got to concentrate for half a round, and two, it does get to show the lovely yarn in stocking stitch as well as in the pattern. Now I think we can agree that this yarn does actually show this pattern up beautifully. It was a good choice for this pattern. I'm really pleased with it. Now, okay, excuse me a minute, I'm gonna get a bit up close with you. Right, so how do I knit on two circulars? Can you see that there is, so I've got 60 stitches on here. Yes, Laura, I went down a couple of, I lost a couple of stitches, but that's because I prefer knitting on 60 stitches. So I wrangled the pattern a little bit. But so I've got 60 stitches on here. So there's 30 on that needle, which is that one there. So that's a whole circular. That's the beginning. That's the beginning of it, and that's the end of it. So that set of 30 is on that side, on that one needle, and then that set of 30, the other set of 30, is on the other side on that needle. Do you see? So basically, if you do that, you've got, I stick my hand in it, you've got one needle at the top and one needle at the bottom. And what you do, I'm going to try and angle you down so you can see this. If this goes horribly wrong, I apologise. Let's angle you down. So what you do is you take your first needle. Let me just double check what I'm on. Yeah, I'm on the plain knit row. And you take its other end. So that's the other end of this first needle. Can you see? It's attached. Yeah? And you knit like you would almost on straights from this side across on that first needle. So just knit across. Just talk amongst yourselves while I do a half row. And I find the advantage of doing it this method for me is I don't get runs down the side. And I'll show you why in a moment. So we go knit across this side. Why is it when I'm knitting on camera I knit a lot slower than I do in real life? Very frustrating when I'm trying to do a demo. So we knit. Right, so there we go. I've got all the stitches now on that side of the needle, and I just pull it through like that. So that now sits there and dangles and doesn't do anything, and I change round and I'm now on the other needle. So I push that through into the stitches and pick up my yarn. Okay, seriously, it doesn't normally tangle. So pick up my yarn, and on this side with its needle, so that's that one that was in those stitches, and here you go round and you knit onto its other end. Now what happens here, can you see, is because that is so tight there, you don't get any runs or anything. So it's that bit there that's the key. It's so tight there, it's just like knitting round normally. You don't get any runs at all. So that now will go, I'll knit across the bottom. So that other needle that I was knitting on a minute ago is just sitting there doing nothing. I mean, they normally cross at the back actually and keep out of my way, which is quite good. That's why I like these licky needles. They tend to behave when I'm doing this quite well. You wouldn't want to do it on long needles, so you don't need 100 centimetre cable or anything like that. I find that 60 centimetres, no, not 60, 40 centimetres, sorry, apologies, 40 centimetre needles work perfectly, because you don't need them too long. So you've got, there we go, got to the end there. So that's now again on that back needle. So the needles don't swap or anything, they stay on their own. So it's almost like knitting with straights, but on both sides. So you kind of knit along that side and knit along that side. And now I'm back to the beginning again, ready to knit that first row. I'm not sure whether that's a very good demonstration or not. Hopefully it worked. But yeah, that's what I do, and I find that works really well for me. I don't get runs down the sides, as you can see. There's no runs down the sides of this at all. All you've got there is the line where the pattern meets. There's no runs at all. And what I tend to do, if I've got a pattern sock, when I get to the gusset decreases, I put one needle in for the pattern, and then I split the heel with two other needles and just wrangle it with 3 sets of circulars. But you don't have to do that, you can do it on one, on the 2. I just find it's easier if I split it off, but if you haven't got that many needles. Now the disadvantage is, of course, you do need 2 of all these needles, so it does make it a little bit more expensive, because obviously you need 2 needles, not just 1. Now I learnt from Kat Bawdy, who had a book called Socks Saw on 2 Circular Needles. I think it's out of print. I'm not sure whether you can get it anymore, but if you can and you're interested in doing that, that's how I learned. But also, excuse me a moment, there are these books which are also knit 2 at a time on circular needles. They are for using 2 circs as opposed to magic looping, but I don't know whether you can still get these either. I don't knit mine 2 at a time just because sorry, let's put you back up on me now. I'm sure you'd like to see me again, right? I don't knit 2 at a time because actually, if you follow Nikki Winterton, who's got a new podcast called A Little Bit Sheepish, and is amazing, she hit the nail on the head the other day. If I'm knitting a sock, I'm normally knitting it because I want something quick and easy. So having a round that is, so I do 60 stitches. So having a round that's 60 stitches takes me a lot less time than a round that is 120 stitches. So instead of being able to put it down after 60 stitches, I'd have to wait until I had 120 stitches to put it down. So I don't like that. I'd rather have them quick and easy. And I don't have, as you know, I think you've probably guessed, I don't have second sock syndrome. I don't have a problem with that. And if I do struggle with the second sock, I'll cast on another sock and I'll do 2 pairs concurrently. So I'll do sock 1 of one and sock 1 of the other, and then do it that way. So occasionally, if I'm really bored with a sock, I might do that, but normally, as you know, I don't have second sock syndrome. I'm too eager to have the finished pair of socks, shall we say. But yes, so this is the lovely pattern from The Lonely Knitter. I will give you more information as and when Laura has finished naming it and and gets a published date for it. But it's fab. It's a lovely pattern, and that's sock 1. Hopefully I will have it at least finished by next week. I would like to have got its pair underway too. So that's day 1 socks. So day 2 would normally be shawl day, but I finished a shawl last week, and I've changed the day to some baby knits because we have a little baby due very shortly, and I wanted to get some knitting done for it. So this is going to be attached to my arm, apparently. Let's remove that. I am knitting a cardigan from Baby Knits from Beginners by Debbie Bliss. I love this book. It's pretty simple, and it has some lovely patterns in it. I love the Debbie Bliss baby patterns. Oh, look at this. I actually used a bookmark to mark which pattern I'm doing. I am doing a jacket with moss stitch bands, which is that one there. Isn't that a cute baby? And I'm doing it in Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino. We don't know what flavour the baby's going to be, so I am doing some green. I should say, Amy, if you are watching this, which I know you shouldn't be, look away. So yeah, so we're doing it in this, because we don't know what flavour it's going to be. I'm doing this green. I've picked out all my neutral baby colours, and I am nearly done with the back. It is knit in pieces. I did attempt to try and knit it in one go and then went, oh, that's not happening. I will spend more time ripping it out than I will knitting it, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, I really, really like this. That's the little garter stitch band. Not much to say about it at the moment, but I'm whipping up the back at the moment, and yes, it's living in a lovely bag by Sherry Iris that is far too small for it. So now that I'm upstairs and can swap project bags, I'm going to see if I can find kind of a baby bag, maybe? I don't know. But this is what I mean about my project bags are all sort of this size. And if I have a slightly bigger project, it doesn't actually fit. I mean, to be fair, the project fits. It's the book that doesn't fit. But I'd like to keep the book with the project. Otherwise, I don't know if you're the same. I tend to find I'll go to knit the project and I have no idea what I've done with the book. So I am going to swap that now into a different size. So yeah, so day 2 is going to be baby knits for a little while until I've knit a few little bits and pieces for this little baby that's due. She's the sweetest girl, and I can't wait to be able to knit all the bits for her, bless her. I'd like to say I can't wait to see the baby, but obviously with current situation I'm not sure when that will be possible, but hopefully we'll be able to FaceTime if nothing else. Not going to be quite the same as giving it a cuddle though, is it? Right, so that's day 2, baby knits. So day 3 is garment day, and that's hanging out in my lovely bag by So Beautiful by Nicola. And she's definitely got a tab on here somewhere. I love this bag. I love this bag so much. Here we go. And this is housing my Whitmore, which is a pattern by Amy Loudon, who's a little tailoress. A lot of Whitmore's being knit at the moment in the podcast community. I am doing mine in a DK and not held together with mohair because me and mohair really do not get on. Oh, out we go. There we go. Okay, so it's in a mess. That's what it is. It's in a mess. It's in a needle cozy by Sherry Iris, and this is how we're getting on. Now let's take that off and hope. You can always tell Sherry Iris it has polka dots on the inside. Sherry Iris loves polka dots. So here we go. No we don't. We're gonna, this is the only problem when you're knitting with 2 balls of yarn. It gets very tangled. So this is the yoke. I am through the first chart A, and I have just started my next chart. I am knitting the large size, and it's a yoke top down sweater, and I love it. It's a lace. It's lace. So let's see if we can pull it out a little bit so you can see the lace. It's a lacework sweater. Oh, I love it. It's going to be so pretty. And I didn't do an awful lot. Well, I say I didn't do an awful lot. That's not bad, to be fair. I did from the cake up. It's getting quite a few stitches on this now, so it's taking a little while to do the rows. I think it's about to get into its biggest point, and then you split off for the sleeves, and then then you'll be joining it in the round, etc, etc. So I'm probably going to do the sleeves once I've joined the body, like I did with my understated, for 2 reasons. Number 1, again, I'm not sure I have enough yarn. It's always the way. And number 2, I find it easier to knit it that way because it's not so heavy to wrangle if you've got all the body on it. I mean, admittedly it does make the body slightly more trickier because you've got the sleeves on it, but in my head it's easier. But yeah, isn't that lovely? It's a lovely pattern. I mean, that's upside down to be fair, but you get the drift. I'm really enjoying it. It's not complicated at all. And Amy really holds your hand every step of the way with this pattern, which I'm really enjoying. Now I am using the lovely Dusty Dimples, and this is her blush DK, the colour I'm using at the moment. I'm going to fade into Harmony at some point. That's the back of it. And these are, I've just finished one skein and I'm going into these 2 now. So I am helical knitting, which is quite a wrangle with a patterned pattern, but because there's quite a lot of this in stocking stitch, you can get away with the whole slipping and helical knitting. So I'm doing that. But that's the colour. And whereas this one's got flecks of blue in it, this one has flecks of yellow in it. So this is why you, so there's the yellow in that one. You see. Now can I find a blue in this one? Probably not. They are so full. Oh, there we go. There's a blue there. This is why you should probably use 2 balls simultaneously when you're using indie dyed yarn. So there's going to be the odd fleck here and there, but because I'm helical knitting it, so I'm doing 1 round in this one and then 1 round in this one, you're not going to notice, which is cool. I also need to do this because I will be fading into harmony at some point, and although they're close in colour, it's not exact, as you can see. So at some point I will be fading into this. Now this reckons it's got stellina in it, but it really hasn't, which is quite funny. I thought one did have stellina in it, but that one also says it has stellina in it. Oh, I think it might have, but very tiny bits of stellina. Anyway, just means the bottom of my sweater's going to sparkle. Right, so that's my day 3. That's my Whitmore. And yeah, I love it. Love knitting on it. I didn't get a lot of time this week, as you can tell, but I am enjoying it. So that is day 3, garment day. So day 4 is crochet day, and that's hanging out in my fondant fibre bag. And this is my crochet Christmas blanket, which I had a bit of luck with actually during the week. And let me get out my colours. Just remember what to get out each week. So I showed you the first strip, so that's the first strip. So that's, I'll show you the right side of it. This is the first strip all joined together. And then the second strip is going to fit on top with that's the start of it. So that plain green, whoops, there we go. So that plain green would sit on top of that colour there. Okay, and then that variegated, so it will go that way around, a bit like that. Okay, that gives you the general idea. So the idea is to have a plain colour and then more of a crazy colour. And I'm kind of doing sort of 5 and 5, so 5 of these and then 5 of these at the moment on these strips anyway. Now I need 20 gram minis for these, so if they're less than 20 grams it doesn't work, as I discovered. So that's last week's. This week, well, last week I had done part of this strip, so I'd done 4 of these green ones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'd run out. And this was a mini from my advent calendar from Woolly Goodness. And I'd already used it in a Land of Sweets cow, so I didn't quite have the full mini. So I ran out before I could do the next square. So I went through and I managed to find that one. So as you can see, it's fairly close in colour. This is also a Jenny one, so that's probably why it's fairly close in colour. So I'm really pleased. That will do. I mean, it is close enough. It's not a problem. And now I'm going into my next phase, which is this lovely pinky red. And then that's in the middle is this, which is Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, which was a Christmas colourway from Jenny last year that I did my Christmas socks in. So I have kept my leftover, and I'm going to do my next 5 from here, and that's going to go in there with this mini, which is sort of a pinky red almost. Yeah, really pleased with how those 2 colours are playing together. So that's going to be the next strip. And I have got, and I'm joining it at the moment there, just with some silver. Now I'm quite liking this silver, and I've obviously not got enough of this to make an entire blanket, so I might have to see whether I can chat to a dyer friend Kelly and see if she can dye me a couple of full skeins of the silver, because I'm really liking the pop of silver on this. So I think what I might have to do is send some of that mini to Kelly and see if she can dye it for me. I have no idea whose mini this is. No idea whatsoever, so it's not like I can contact the actual dyer of this mini, because I do not know who it is. It might be Kelly's. There's a good chance it's one of Kelly's, because most of my minis are either Kelly's or Jenny's. I don't think it's Jenny's because it's not thick enough. Her base is a bit plumper. But yeah, I need more of the silver, which is a bit annoying. I was just going to do different colours, and then I kind of fell in love with the silver. I sort of thought, actually, that looks really nice. I'm really enjoying the silver. So yes, I'm going to need to sort that out. A bit of an oops going on there. But yeah, so that is my crochet Christmas blanket. I am doing 5 rounds of a granny square. So these are the... Actually, look, I've put stitch markers on the ones you haven't seen, so I'm going to do that from now on. So I do 5 rounds of a granny. So it's... we call them triple crochets. I believe they're double crochets in the US. I do 5 rounds, and I flip the squares each time I finish a round, so that they're A, double-sided, and B, they're quite square. And I am using a 3mm clover hook. And yeah, I love this. I'm really, because I'm joining it as I go, it's sort of growing as I go. And once I get the 2 strips made, I'm going to join the 2 strips together, so you get a really good idea of what this is going to look like. Yeah, I love this. I really love this. I have no idea why that's got a stitch marker on there. That I had already made last week. I just hadn't made that one. Yeah. So pretty. So I love this. And I love my huge basket of Christmas minis I've got to go through as well. However, I'm going to have to work out what I'm going to do about all the 10-gram ones, because I have a lot of 10-gram ones. Maybe I'll have to do a few, sort of do like a long stripe this end of the blanket and a long stripe that end of the blanket of like the 20-gram minis, and again, and then like mirror it each end. I know what I mean. This probably isn't making any sense whatsoever. My idea is that I'll do like a strip that goes this end, and then a strip that goes that end, a strip that goes this end, and a strip, and then meet in the middle. So there's some kind of cohesiveness between it. But I'm going to do 2 strips for the bottom first, then I'll do 2 strips for the top in 20-gram minis, and then we'll start playing with 10-gram minis and see what we can do with those. But I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. So that's my day 4. Yeah, day 4 crochet day. Day 5, which is Here Comes the Whip. This is a new section that is replacing my mystery blanket section at the moment, just because I haven't done anything on my mystery blankets and I want to make some progress on some old whips. And this one is hanging out in my So Sweet Violet bag, and this actually is quite a good size. It's not quite a sweater size, but it's holding the blanket and all its minis at the moment. And this is the Habitation throw, which is a pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. I can show you a picture of it, I think. Okay, so I think there's a picture in here. Yeah, there we go. It's not the greatest of pictures, hold on. That one's probably better. Oh, no, okay. There we go. That's what it's going to look like. So this was sort of the Christmas pattern from Helen Stewart for using minis this year, or last year, 2019. And I'm actually doing 2 of these, one of which I haven't done any work on at all. which is the done in my advent from Sherry Iris, so I want to get back to that one. But this is my advent from Kelly, which is Lay Family Yarn. Now the needles for this, okay Sharon, when you come to edit this, the title of this podcast is The Podcast of Tangles, because everything I've got out of its bag has tangled today. So I'm using a little needle keeper from Ellie of Craft House Magic, and I love these ones. So you just literally undo it and slice your needles out, and these are higher bamboos, which I love. And this is how far I have got. I am now decreasing and confused. Right, here we go. You will get to see it, I promise. Right, so here we go. This is where I am at the moment. I love this, it's so pretty. I was where that donut was when I restarted this last week. So I knit the whole of one mini and nearly the whole of another. Now that donut is a little donut from, that's not the donut, that's the donut, that's a heart. They're both from Laura of The Lonely Knitter, her Crafter's Balm shop. I love them. And yeah, so this is the sort of the first side. That's where it started, and I've gone all the way through. I think I'm on the 14th mini now, so I'm starting to decrease. So this is the decrease side down here, and yeah, I love this. Now I have plans for this when it is finished. It is going to be my blanket for going on my sun lounger outside, because at the moment I'm knitting my cozy memory blankets from the back of the sofa. I would like is just to have one ready to go, sort of folded in the lounge in a box of grab blankets. Wouldn't it be lovely to have a box of grab blankets? Never mind a box of socks, let's have a box of blankets. And yeah. It's so switchy as well, and the colours are beautiful. They just really show up on camera, don't they? Really show up on camera. Kelly, you made some really photogenic colours. Oh, I'm chuckling at my own jokes, sorry. But yeah, that's brilliant. So that's what's getting my love in Here Comes the Whip. I'm sorry, you are probably going to see this for a little while now, because I should imagine it's going to take me a little while to finish it. Guess what? I have a tangle again, honestly. So yeah, so this is going to be around for a little while, I think, but I would like to get it finished at least, well, for the summer would be good. Although I fear that we're getting our summer now, because we've had days and days and days of beautiful, hot, sunny weather. So I fear that it will break down, and then that'll be the end of that. But so I'm just putting my needles back in their little cozy, so they don't go for a little walk. That's the mini I'm working on at the moment. It's so pretty. I love Kelly's colours. Right, so yeah, that is... I'm really struggling with my days today. That is day 5. Here comes the whip. So day 6 is my scrappy project day, and at the moment I'm working on a northeasterly by Skenanigans, and it's in my Made by Mrs H basket, who is our lovely moderator on the Ravelry Group, our lovely moderator Katie. And I am doing, so this is my northeasterly. That is a needle cozy from Craft House Magic. And that my current strip is also Craft House Magic, the lovely Ellie. Now I was there where those little acorns are. They are acorns. They are a bit dodgy. And I've did the whole of that one, So I'm going halfway to through the next stripe at the moment. That's where I'm stopping. So I did that one, and then the pink, and I'm now on this beautiful sort of aqua blue and pink speckled, or as my daughter would name it, the Sully colour. Monsters Inc. ref there, because everything's Disney in my household, so this would be a Disney Sully colour. They are all named, these minis, but I have no idea which one's which. So if you'd like to go and check out Ellie's shop, which is Craft House Magic, she does have all the names on there. But yeah, it's so pretty. So this is from a set from Ellie, and these are the ones I have remaining. So I definitely need to do a pink one next, otherwise I'm going to end up with all the pinks together. I didn't think that through, did I? Whoops. So I'm going to do one pink, then one green, and another pink, and then another pink. Whoops. Like I said, didn't think that one through. Maybe I've got some lockdown colours coming from Ellie as well. She's got a lockdown mini set, which is really pretty. So maybe I'll swap one of those in and swap one of these out. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing at the moment. That's her label. And these are all different dyers. I'm doing stripes of dyers at the moment. So my first stripe there is Sherry Iris, and that is Hedgerow Yarns. That one is Down Sheepy Lane. This is Craft House Magic. I will have Lay Family Yarn. I will have Woolly Goodness, and I'm going to have West Green Loft Yarns. And I feel like there's somebody else as well. I did this last time and forgot someone. Last time it was Jenny, I forgot Bessa. Giddy Yarns. Giddy Yarns, that's the other one. I need to use Giddy Yarns. Oh dear, I'll get there eventually. And then the idea is I will start, depending on what the width of that is once I've got all the dyers in, I will either do another repeat of the width and then start lengthening it, because I've kept stitch markers, not stitch markers, what are these called? Stitch holders on the end of this so that I can increase them. The only one I might struggle with is minis from Down Sheepy Lane, but I have got quite a few of hers around and about, so but I've kept that one on the end there because I've only got a tiny bit of that one on there, so I thought, well, I might as well keep that and carry on up. I love this. It's such a relaxing knit, although it has taught me that I do fail to count to 15 a couple of times, which has been quite amusing. It's like, oh, that's no longer got the right amount of stitches on it. Oops. But yeah, it's lovely. I thoroughly recommend the pattern. It's a lovely knit, and yeah, I'm really pleased with my colours of this. So that is day 6, Scrappy Project Day. So next up is my Cozy Memory blanket, and that is hanging out in my Seaside bag from Busy Pottering, which I absolutely adore. As I think we know, this is actually my favourite bag. Don't tell the other bags. I love this bag. I mean, admittedly, it's probably joint top with my Sherry Iris bag that's got my embroidered S on it, because Sherry did that especially for me. So yeah, there's a bit of a joint top on that one. But I do love this bag. So this week's, I didn't get today's done, which is, you know, this actually is a mini that's in my northeasterly. So once I've put them in my northeasterly, I'm throwing them in a different basket and popping them in here. So a lot of these will be from my of course I dropped that, from my northeasterly. Right, okay, so let's put that across there. So this week I have got Hedgerow Yarns. That is Giddy Yarn from my socks, because the idea of this is, the idea behind the Cozy Memory blanket was to put all your scraps of your projects in it, so you'd remember what projects you used it for. So I do that, I put all my bits in as well, but obviously I use a lot of other minis too. But yeah, so that's from my Hopeless Romantic socks. That is a Hedgerow Yarns. That is the rest of the mini from Lay Family Yarn. Now let's just talk about these for a minute. So this mini here, is beautiful. So I love this mini. Now I use this in the cuff, heel and toe of both socks of my Hopeless Romantic socks. Now I use, I do a 60 stitch count, and I normally do 10 rows for a cuff, and I had enough left over from a 20g mini to put some in here, make up a 5g mini for a swap, and have 3g in a magic knot ball. So a 20g mini goes an awful long way. And it has made me think now that a lot of the times when I get a choice between whether to get a 20g set of something or a 10g set of something, I'm tending to go for the 10g, because there is normally enough yarn in 10g to do whatever it is you want to do. I mean, I love having stuff left over for swaps, don't get me wrong, but if you've got a full skein of something that you've used for something, you've probably got a lot of yarn left over from that as well. So I'm tending to buy 10g minis as a choice rather than 20g minis. That said, on things like Ellie's set, which is obviously a set of 5, or I think that one's actually a set of 6, I like getting the 20g for that, because if you're making scrappy socks you need the 20g. So just putting it out there though, 20g is a lot of yarn. Anyway, so that's my Lay Family yarn one, and then that one is a hedgerow yarn, and I have just dropped it on the floor, so I'm not showing it to you again. Now I use a little stitch marker from the Corner of Craft. It's a little, I use that every morning as my middle one, and then these stitch markers are all sort of some of my favourite stitch markers. That was from Kelly's Afternoon Tea Club. That is, I can't think whose that was. Who did bulb stitch markers with stars in? Can't remember, but that's from the same person. I think this might be Ellie from Craft House Magic. That's a So Sweet Violet one. That is Laura of The Lonely Knitter, and that's also So Sweet Violet. It's one of my favourite ones. So my favourite stitch markers go on this. This really is a sort of comfort. I love this project. I've also got special needles for it. These are signature needles, which hubby bought for me as a present, because they are quite expensive and they come from the States, although I didn't have to pay import on these particular ones, and I love them. I've got a set of 3mm ones as well, which I am using on a different project at the moment, which I cannot talk about because that one is super secret. I am doing a super secret test knit, so if my knitting content is down a little bit, it's because I am working on my super secret test knit as well. But yeah, so that is my cozy memory blanket. So that's the knitting content. The only thing I've got left now is sewing, and that's in this beautiful bag that I got from Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted, and this is my sampler from the Stitchery. Now let me show you. This is the packaging it came in, which is just beautiful. Everything that you get from the Stitchery is just gorgeous. It's so pretty. It's worth getting it just for the packaging. Her aesthetic is right up my street. I love it. So I am learning to embroider. I'm a brand new embroiderer. I did a little bit last summer. This is all thanks to Sherry Iris. The first bit of embroidery I ever did was inspired because back last summer I did my backing. You might have remembered I had a huge great gap off of podcasting, and I was in a lot of pain, and literally the only thing I could do is sit and knit. And I discovered Sherry Iris. I had my lovely friend Kelly recommended her for a start, and she recommended her to me, and I bought some minis from her, and I fell in love with her. And then I discovered her podcast. So while I was having a bad back, I watched all her episodes back to back, and I had got her summer celebration mini box, and I knit scrappy socks. So each day I would open a mini and knit it into my socks, and there were some days that my whole reason for getting up and being able to, you know, at least get downstairs onto the sofa and try and move a little bit, because I was in so much pain, was to open this mini and to do this bit of knitting. And I completely fell in love with the girl. And then I watched started watching all her podcasts. I think she may be doing vlogs at that point as well, and saw the embroidery, and I'd love to have a go. So I bought a kit from Oh So Beautiful. It was lavender, and started, and it wasn't too bad. Didn't do too bad a job of it, and it's all gone on from there really. And then I discovered Nikki Franklin, and I love her kits. And this is the sampler. So this week I have done I think I've actually got this now. I've managed to work out my long and my short stitches, thankfully. I have a book which I will show you in a minute, which explained it to me far better than the video I watched in actual fact. Now I don't know if Nikki's got a video on her site, I haven't looked, but the other video I watched didn't really explain it particularly well. So that's my long and short stitches, and I finished my cow parsley. Now the cow parsley down the side here is a stitch along that Sherry is running, and if you go to her blog, she has a downloaded PDF that you can copy your flowers from. I got my daughter to do it because I cannot for the life of me draw. That's one thing I cannot do. So she drew it on for me, and then I stitched it, and I could not be happier with how this has turned out. So that's gone down the side there. Now Nikki, when you read her sampler, encourages you to practice the stitches by decorating the sampler, so that's what I've done. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this once I've finished it. I think it's going to have to go in a frame because that side is fraying, and it's getting perilously close to that cow parsley, so I think I'm just going to have to frame it. But I love this, it's so pretty. So I am now on the next row down. So my next one is buttonhole stitch. Now I've got a bit of a problem with the buttonhole stitch because the buttonhole stitch I found is actually for a buttonhole, and that doesn't look like a buttonhole, so I don't know quite what to do with that one. So if anybody knows, let me know. Yeah, I might have to look up anybody who's done this sampler and see what they did with that. But yeah, I love this. So I am trying, when I finish work at 4, at the moment, because we've got lovely weather, I pop outside and do some stitching. I know that doesn't seem like an awful lot that I've done since this time last week, but it's all I managed. So this is the book I have, which I keep in here. Luckily this fits the book, and it's the A to Z of embroidery stitches. A complete manual for beginner through to advanced embroiderer. There we go, that's what I've got, that's what I use, and it is actually really fab. It has step-by-step instructions for everything. Just trying to find one. Oh, there you go, there's French knot there, so that shows you how to do the French knot. It's really clear, it's a really good book, and I like the fact that it's quite light, and it's a good size to stick in my project bag. It's saying it's £12.99 on the back of this. I got it off of Amazon, and yeah, I can definitely recommend that. It's a good book, it's a good manual to have if you're a beginner, to stick in your project bag. I mean, it's not tiny, but then my project bag's not tiny either, so if you get stuck, you've got, there we go, that's what it looks like. You've got a reference book. So that's my stitching. So I got some happy mail this week. I'm going to start off with this one, which is the lovely Sherry has donated a prize, which is a ladybird on a leaf, which is very appropriate as I am ladybird at guides. So that's going in the prize pot. Thank you very much, Sherry. I really, really appreciate it. Bless your heart. That was a lovely gesture, and wow, it's lovely yarn. So that's going in for my prizes. And also with the order I got a DPN holder, which for me is a circular needle holder, because I find it works just as well for circular needles. It's very pretty, isn't it? I love the flowers. It's a proper summer one, so that will be out for the summer. And then I got this yarn, which I just absolutely adore. Now this is the honeysuckle, sorry, Country Diary, part of their Country Diary collection, and is honeysuckle, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's so pretty. I mean, honeysuckle, I love my honeysuckle. It's gone over now, unfortunately. I've got a little stitch marker with it too. Yeah, my honeysuckle in the garden's gone over now, unfortunately, but oh, it's so pretty. I love it. Loads of speckles on the top there. Cannot wait to use this one, which I'm slowly starting to use my Sherry Iris yarn. And then this one, I don't know whether she is a spoiler or not. It's her Flower Power yarn, so if you don't want to look at it, then look away for a minute. But yeah, that's the label. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love this. This is so pretty. It's based on wild strawberries, and oh, yeah, absolutely wild strawberries. So I think this and this go together really well. I'm tempted to see if I can find a third colour, and then I could make an EDT, because I need 3 skeins for an ED. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog in the background. I don't know why she suddenly kicked off. But yeah, so that's the Flower Power yarn. Now the Flower Power fund is a fund that the lovely Sherlock Knits has created to raise funds for Marie Curie. Marie Curie is a charity here in the UK that looks after cancer patients and does an absolutely amazing job. And Sherry was the dyer for May, and £5 I think from each skein went to Marie Curie, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's such a lovely cause, and a lovely way to be able to support a cause. And then the other thing that I got was a little notebook from Sherry, which is my embroidery notes, and that is actually going to go into my so it's a handmade notebook, and it's going to go into my embroidery bag in a minute. And yeah, isn't it so cute? A handmade book. I love it. It's got a little tiny little bird on the back. How sweet is that? And that is the cow parsley on the front. That's going to go in my embroidery bag in a moment. And that is the end of my acquisitions this week. I have definitely got a Lay Family yarn sitting there, because I just saw it as I was coming upstairs. And I think I may have some minis from Ellie coming at some point as well, so hopefully I'll have those for next week too. But that's it for my happy mail this week. Slightly lighter on the ground than normal. So bits and bobs. This is where I just chat to you for a few minutes, to be honest. I'm not doing any more vlogs for the moment, just because I am finding content for the vlogs quite difficult, and I don't think you really want to watch my bread rising anymore. The first couple of times it was interesting, after that not so much. So I'm going to go back to sticking my vlogs on the end of my podcast. So I will totally steal Sherry, with her permission's idea of having a vloggy pod. So from now on you will get some vloggy pods, and hopefully there will be some vloggy bits at the end of this. I'm not certain what I've got this week. I'm really into journaling at the moment, very much so. So I'm thinking I might try and do a standalone video on my journaling, because a couple of people have said they'd be interested in seeing what I'm doing. And I'm doing at the moment, I'm doing a little book. If you watched last week's episode, you will have seen I got this junk journal, and I have decided to call it my little book of happiness. And I am writing something that makes me happy in it. I would say every day, but I'm not restricting myself to every day. I am literally, if I want to write 4 entries that day, I'm going to write 4 entries that day. And I've numbered them 1, 2, 3, because there's so many bits sort of tucked away and hidden that I thought if anybody wants to read it in the years to come, they'll know then if they've missed one. Crazy, I know. So I'm really enjoying that. That's so much fun to do, just literally taking a photo of something that makes me happy, or just writing about something that makes me happy, and popping it in this book. So that's something I've started, so I'd quite like to share that with you at some point. I have a tracker that I do every day as well, and that might be fun just to show you what I'm tracking. I've got my junk journal, which is my big journal that I do, and I've got my knitting journal. So I wondered if at some point you'd be interested in me doing a standalone on all my journals. That might happen. Otherwise, there's nothing much to report. We kind of went back to normal this week. Everybody's gone back to work except for Meg. Meg's not likely to go back very soon because she works at a pub, and I'm not quite sure when we're going back with pubs. I know a lot of shops and things are opening as of the 15th of June, which is sort of a couple of weeks from today. We're having most gorgeous weather here in the UK. It's sunny, it's hot, and I'm loving being in the garden. Really exciting news for me. I might try and video those actually and stick it on the end. I planted 40 gladioli bulbs last week, and they have started to shoot. You do not understand how excited I am. I am absolutely hopeless at gardening, so the fact that something's growing and hasn't died is unbelievable. So I'm really enjoying those. So sad, isn't it? Oh dear. Yeah, so next week is my birthday. This time next week, a week today in actual fact, next Friday is my birthday. So I'm going to have a semi-lockdown birthday. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. I know I have a few lovely prezzies coming because I chose them. Because that's the best way to get what you want in this household. So that's happening next Friday. I've moved my podcast day today to Friday because, note to self, don't try and think on the podcast. It doesn't work. Last week when I was dithering about whether there would be a podcast this week and going, oh no, it wasn't that Saturday, it was. But luckily, normally my daughter works from up here in the craft room, but because it's a loft room and you've got two great big bits of glass here, it's really hot, and if you open the windows it's really noisy, and she does a lot of conference calls and she's been asked to mute a couple of times because it's too noisy. So she's had to go back to using her room at the moment temporarily. So because she did that, it meant I could record today on a Friday. Now we have had a chat, and it might be that because she looks like she's at home, well they've said at least for the next 6 months working from home, we might come to some arrangement whereby I can have the room on a Friday and I will move the podcast to recording on a Friday, because that actually works a little bit better for me. Just because then I'll get Saturday and Sunday as a weekend, theoretically. But that's why I am recording today on a Friday, because last week when I was going, oh, yes, I'll do a podcast, I was like, I literally went, oh, you can't do that on Saturday this week. You're not here. I'm not doing anything exciting. I've just got a shopping order, but it's a click and collect and it's right in the middle of the day, so there's not enough time to do it beforehand, and it's going to be too late in the day to do it afterwards because this will get really hot up here, and I'd have to do it up here at the weekend. So I was like, okay, well that's not happening. But luckily it's happened, and I managed to get my episode, because I miss you guys if I miss. I really do miss you guys if I don't do my podcast, and I love talking about my knitting. I'm really sorry. You get to hear all about my little bits and pieces with my knitting, but I guess you must like it, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Right, I'm going to wrap up because it is beginning to get really hot up here, I have to say. I'm going to start needing to open some windows. I need to go downstairs to edit this. Normally I edit upstairs, but I am, because it's a Friday, I'm actually on call. I haven't had anything to come in yet, thankfully, but I've got a couple of jobs I need to do work-wise, so I'm going to edit you downstairs, actually, and it will be cooler. And leave it there for this week. So I hope you're all okay wherever you are. Take care, and I'll see you next week. So we are heading out for a little journey out, just so that we can get out of the house, because yeah, I've not been out other than to go and collect the shopping. it would be nice to get out and about to see whether the world still exists, and also the kids are cooking and it doesn't smell too good. I'm not enjoying whatever it is they're cooking, although jokingly I think they're actually cooking the same thing as I cooked yesterday, which is the pizza sauce, which you will have seen on last week's vlog. And but mine smelled much better than theirs did. I don't know what Dan did to it, but there you go. I wonder whether he's sort of caught the bottom of it. Anyway, we are going off for a drive out. If I'm really lucky, well, I might get to see the sea today. If I'm not lucky, I will need a pee and we'll have to come home sooner. That is the reality of it. And I have my habitation throw to knit on, so I'm looking forward to that. Right, I shall let Ian have his music back on now.